Hello, my loves, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Mariya. Please subscribe below so we can be YouTube buddies. This video is on ancestral lineages. Specifically, I was asked a question: how does a soul select a lineage to incarnate into? I thought this was a very fun topic to cover, and so today we're doing it. We're doing the video. By the way, for those of you that have been submitting questions to me through my IG stories, thank you so much. If you've been DMing me with questions, that's also amazing. And if you've been dropping your questions in my comments here on YouTube, please know that I see you. All right. So I've said this before, but just a quick refresher. Before we come into this incarnation, our soul, our higher self, has to make a lot of important choices on our behalf. Our higher self selects everything around our phenotype, the color of our eyes, the color of our hair, everything around our talents that are going to go into a particular incarnation, our height, our weight, our perfect weight rather. Our higher self selects where we're going to be born, how many siblings we're going to have, or the ideal number of siblings that they would like to have. They select whether we're going to be born into riches or poverty, whether we're going to be born with a chronic illness or not, all of those things. And obviously, as a big part of that quest of selection is selecting the lineage you're going to incarnate into. And there are many factors that go into why your higher self selects a particular family, or rather two, right? Because your higher self would select usually the male and the female. Believe it or not, there are couples that would not be formed unless there was a soul that really wanted to have both of these parents. So sometimes certain couples, although, that's not necessarily always the case, sometimes couples do come together to bring forth a particular child. So when you're selecting a lineage to be born into, you usually are looking for a particular resonance, right? So the absolute basis and the absolute foundation of that search is resonance-based, meaning you have to be vibrating at the same frequency that lineage is already vibrating. Or rather, if you're a higher self, right, and you're splitting yourself into a particular, let's say you're projecting forth a stream, you're not going to be projecting forth 100% of yourself. You're going to be projecting forth, call it, 1%, 0.5%, doesn't really matter. Let's call it 1% for simplicity's sake. So it's like splitting hairs a little bit on a higher self level. So your higher self splits out a hair that represents 1% of its energy. That 1% of its energy is not going to be congruent or the same as the rest of your higher self. It's going to represent a particular facet of your higher self. And that facet is going to have a particular vibrational resonance of frequency, if you will, or color or sound wave. There are many ways of looking at it. And so your higher self is first going to be looking at, what am I a vibrational match to? Or rather, what is that 1% of me that is being split up into an incarnation a vibrational match to? Then they're going to be presented with a range of options based on the resonance. Now, the resonance doesn't have to be exact, but it needs to be within a certain range so that the anchoring can happen. The anchoring is the process when you descend into incarnation. You literally need to plug yourself into the socket. And if you're very far vibrationally away from what you're trying to plug into, the attachment is not going to happen. It's just not going to stick. It's just not going to hold. And so there's a lot of calculation that goes into at the higher self level, like what lineage you come into. So vibrational resonance is one, but that is just the bare bones. The other aspect of it is the give and the take. So every time you come into a lineage, it's an energy exchange. You take something from the lineage, you give something to the lineage, right? So usually lineages, once they're established by the founding couple, they have a mission, they have a path, and they have certain milestones along the way that the lineage wants to hit. It's almost like every lineage is on its own unique trajectory. So every lineage is almost like a sentient being. Every lineage is an egregore, an energetic structure of all of the people that have been born into that lineage. And so that collective energy wants something. That collective energy desires something. That collective energy needs something. That collective energy has something as a goal for itself sometime in the future. So there's always an end game for the lineage. Different lineages are created with different intentions by the founding couples. Some lineages are created to uplift humanity. Other lineages are created to explore wealth and abundance. Other lineages are created for scientific and intellectual pursuits, etc., right? So every lineage, by definition, already has a resonance and already has a propensity for a particular aspect of reality. And people within that lineage are going to be attracted to that lineage because of that original vibration that the founders of the lineage infused into the lineage. And so at a soul level, you're going to look at a lineage and understand, okay, like this is their end game. Does their end game match what I want for myself? As in, if I merge my consciousness with this collective consciousness of this lineage, will I feel like I'm on the same page with this lineage? Will I feel inspired by those energies? Will I feel challenged in a good way by those energies? Will I feel supported by these energies, right? There has to be a resonance, not just in the vibration that you carry, but also the direction of where you're heading. Because if it's like if one, I don't know, if the soul wants to fly to Paris, but the lineage wants to go to Africa, it's not a match, right? Like you have to be going in the same direction for you to be able to share the car, if that makes sense. Okay, my analogies are out of whack today, but I hope that you guys are still with me. And so essentially, at first you're going to be like, okay, can this lineage give to me what it is that I'm seeking? And you're going to be looking at, okay, what is the resource that this lineage has? The resource of the lineage is usually a collection of all of, shall we say, the positive energies, the positive emanations that a lineage has. Obviously, once you come into an incarnation, you are going to be dependent heavily on your parents and both of your ancestral lines for your original infusion of energy. So essentially, you are a merge between the energy of your mom's lineage, your dad's lineage, and your higher self, right? So it's like a trifecta. It's a like three of these, a triumvirate. I think that's the word. Like three energies coming together. Now, so essentially, you're going to be looking at, okay, like what are the blessings of this lineage? You know, are they rich, perhaps? Are they all intelligent? You know, do they have high IQ? Are they kind? Are they well-connected, perhaps? Like there are all these perks that lineages have. And so you're going to be looking at the perks and you're going to try to match them to your particular intention as a soul, whatever it is. I don't know, become a writer or become a nurse or like a scientist, right? And you like, so for instance, if you want to become a scientist, you potentially would want to go into a lineage that has education as a value, or has learning as a value, or has reading as a value, right? Or like essentially, intellect and has a high IQ, right? You would probably want to plant yourself where you're going to be nurtured. Now, as everything is an exchange. You know, your lineage is going to want something from you. And that is the other aspect that you're going to look at and decide. And again, based on your mission, your soul may be called to give a particular vibe or vibration out into the world through a talent or service or the work that the soul wants to do in the world. Say the soul wants to heal, and that is the work that the soul wants to do in the world. Does the lineage want to be healed? If so, then we have a match, right? Because the lineage wants to receive the healing and the soul wants to give the healing. And then we have like a match made in heaven. Now, you may be asking yourself, then how do you have people who are sometimes like the black sheep of the family, like that really don't match? Like if you're saying that everything is so congruent and everybody's like so, you know, so perfectly aligned, how are there people that sometimes come into the lineage and they completely don't belong? Usually the lineage would bring forth or like almost like have an intention, a collective intention to shift something within itself. Sometimes it's like to heal a particular wounding. Other times the lineage may be looking to anchor a particular energy within itself that has not existed for that lineage. And so that lineage is going to essentially issue a calling card. And it's going to essentially raise a hand and say, hey, like we're looking for this particular kind of soul with this particular kind of frequency. We understand that we don't carry that frequency yet, but if you're that kind of soul that wants to donate that frequency that we don't have, we're going to open you with open arms. You'll welcome you with open arms. And here's what you're going to get from this exchange, 1, 2, 3. And so the soul then that is willing to play the black sheep of the family call it archetype, then descends into that lineage, they don't belong. But what they're doing is they're helping anchor something into that lineage that is not yet there. So if you happen to be the black sheep of the family, know that you're A, wanted in that lineage, B, you're doing a big service for that lineage because you are shifting the game. You're probably upgrading that lineage like no tomorrow. What are some of the other things that you can donate to a lineage? Very often, if the girl is born into a lineage, she is able to clean the karma. With lineages that are a little bit on the weaker side or are inundated with karma, on the weaker, I mean that they just don't have the power. They're not as powerful as maybe one day they were. Usually would bring a lot of girls into the lineage to help clean and clear away the dark karma so that they can accumulate the strength. Usually the strength is accumulated through the boys in the lineage, and the karma is cleansed through the girls in the lineage, right? So very often if the couple cannot have a baby, or they're struggling, they want to have a boy, but they're getting girls, it's because their collective lineages combined together don't have enough power to produce a boy so that the boy can accumulate more power. Also, producing a boy from lineage takes a lot more resource than producing a girl. And listen, I don't want to get hate for this. I'm female, obviously. This is not to say that women are in any way, shape, or form inferior to men. That is not what I came to this planet to preach whatsoever. In fact, my point is we're all very different and we have different roles. One is not better than the other. Both roles need to be played within the lineage. It takes two to tango. It takes like two forces of a founding couple to establish a lineage, right? Usually a male and a female. So no, women are not inferior. And I definitely didn't want to, if you took it that way, please don't. So yeah, essentially it's, very often, like I said, coming into a lineage is a give and take. You give something, you take something. And usually that is what is called the soul contract, right? Like as part of your, many soul contracts. One of the things that you commit to is what is it that you want to give? What is it that you commit to provide for your lineage? And that is usually written down and that becomes the Bible, the law of the land. And then you go in and then hopefully you do right by the lineage. Very often souls actually choose to incarnate into the same lineage over and over and over again. And the reason they do is because that lineage has accumulated so much of the soul's energy that they feel so much at home in that lineage that they want to keep coming back. Usually you see this with lineages that have magic. You see this a lot with royal lineages as well, where souls are just going to keep recycling. They just keep coming back. Part of it is also, as we are going on the road of this whole merry-go-round, karma cleansing, incarnating, certain things that we work on require many lifetimes to complete. So we go on these longitudinal missions that may require 10, 12, 20 incarnations to perform. And very often, if you already are a vibrational resonance to a particular lineage that is on a path of solving a particular problem, or somehow their North Star is aligned to your North Star, it makes all the sense in the world for you to keep reincarnating into the same lineage. Yeah. What are the other things that you could be doing for your lineage? The lineage may assign you a title. So there are titles within the lineage, almost like a position of power or a position of responsibility, really, because they're one and the same. So one of the things that you may be asked to commit for your lineage would be, okay, like you may need to be the guardian of wisdom of the lineage. You may be called to be the protector or protectress of the lineage. You may be called to be the holder of the abundance of the lineage. You may be called to become somebody who actually works with the I don't want to call them difficult souls because there's no such thing, but souls that have had difficult experiences in an incarnation. There's usually I don't want to call it a healer, but there's like an elder within the lineage that is assigned to help with, to help these souls. For instance, if a soul in a lineage commits suicide, or if a soul in a lineage goes through the death of, their entire immediate family, right? Like all of these are examples of somebody going through the really, really, really hard time. So when the soul disincarnates, very often the elder of the lineage is going to work with the soul when they're on the other side to help them come to terms with what has happened, to help them better process the happening and make the right conclusions, and also be able to move on. So based on essentially your natural talents, your natural skill sets, one of the things that you could be donating to your lineage is taking upon this position of responsibility, or taking upon, performing a function or a role within a lineage. But no matter what, every lineage really serves us and really helps us get to that North Star. Now, another thing that I'd probably want to say is there's also karmic alignment. So the karma of your lineage is often very connected to your karma. That's why there are patterns that run in the families. That's why very often, they say, oh, it's genetics, like genetic diseases, like certain disease runs in the family, certain wounding runs in the family. So very often, for instance, if you're having an issue with your mother, for instance, you have, you like never felt connected to your mom, or there is some wounding, or you didn't feel loved by your mother, chances are that your mother had the same type of situation with her mother. Your grandma had the same type of situation with her mother. And like we could count it up to, at least 7 generations before you. There's just one other thing that I will say. Sometimes you're being called to transcend a lot of karma for the lineage. And because we are in the end times, and by the end, let's call it the end of the cycle of this 3D dimension game, a lot of the lineages want to close up their karma so that they can move on to the new earth without that karma. And part of that entails dealing with the heavy stuff that still dwells within the lineages. And some of it is curses, family curses. The family curse is real. And beyond the family curses, a lot of them, you see, like there are things that lineages inflict upon themselves, and then there are things that are inflicted upon lineages. So a traditional curse would be if somebody cursed your family for whatever reason, right? When the lineage curses themselves, what I mean by that is usually there is a black magic that is being performed in the lineage, however many steps back. And when that happens, if this black magic is serious enough, the lineage becomes cursed, right? By the virtue of somebody practicing dark magic. So, not that I expect any of my wonderful, listeners to be practicing dark magic. I just want you to guys be aware, right? That black magic is one sticky type of energy, right? So if you do a love spell and you take away somebody's free will, that may impact 7 to 9 to 13 generations of your future kids. The reason I'm going on this tangent is this. Right now, a lot of lineages are trying to heal a lot of dense karma around black magic and around generational curses. And so one of the things that your soul may have signed up to do for your lineage is to clear away that type of curse and that type of karma. And that's why sometimes when you come into a lineage, if it's the energies are that heavy, your childhood may not be the prettiest. Your early adolescent life may not be the prettiest because that curse is still very much present in the fabric of your lineage. But then you do the work, you do the steps, and of course, there's not one way to break generational curses like that, but it is just a very, very important service that a soul can render to a lineage that can also attract you into a lineage, right? So why would you even sign up for something like that as a soul? It's because you are, for instance, yourself. You may be on this journey of understanding light versus darkness. And so you may choose to plant yourself smack in the middle of that darkness because you believe in your own light so much that you are like, I can do this. I can make it happen. We can re-emerge on the other side. Not that I may be oversharing, but when I came into my lineage, I had to deal with a family curse actually myself, and so I'm speaking from my experience, and it was a process, you guys, and it's real. And then the before and after is pretty dramatic once you actually transcend something like that. It's really beautiful. But thank you for the question. I love talking about lineages so much. If you guys have other questions about ancestral healing, please drop me a question below. I've also made videos about healing your relationship with your mother and healing your relationship with your father. Healing the lineages starts with healing those two relationships. And when I say healing those relationships, it's not about changing the other person. It's actually about accepting them for who they are and understanding why they are the way that they are. And so I hope that, you check out those videos. The healthier our lineages, the easier it is for us to step into the future. And so that's that. Sending you a big virtual hug. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, loves.